Welcome. In this video, we'll be taking a look at how to evaluate expressions where you have an exponent of 0. So, to begin with, I want you to do a few multiplication problems. So, I want you to try number 1 and number 2, simplify them as much as you can, pause the video, and then restart after you've given them both a try. So for both number 1 and number 2, you should have gotten the same final answer. For number 1, if we multiply tops and bottoms, you would get 6 over 6, which equals 1. Number 2, you would have gotten 28 over 28, which again, if we simplify, becomes 1. So the idea is, well, what happened? Why did we get 1 in both cases? Well, if you look at the numbers we were multiplying together, they are reciprocals of one another. So if I multiply a number and its reciprocal together, we end up getting 1 as an answer. So 7 over 4 times the flipped over version, the reciprocal, 4 over 7, gives me 1. So multiplying reciprocals yields 1 as an answer. Always. So we also talked, and I want you to keep this in the back of your mind because I'm going to bring it up later. But we also talked about some rules of exponents. So namely, we talked definitely about this rule number 1, which is if you have like bases that you're multiplying, in order to figure out how many final factors of x you end up with, we just add the exponents. So in this case, x to the second times x to the third gives us x to the fifth when we add those exponents together. So now the next part is, well, what if you have a negative exponent? What does that mean? Well, what that means, or what that stands for, is this idea again of reciprocal. So literally what 2/3 to the negative 1 stands for is the reciprocal of 2/3. So negative exponents literally mean reciprocal of. So let's put all of these ideas together, and let's suppose that I were multiplying 2/3 to the first power times its reciprocal, which is 2/3 to the negative first power. Well, I can actually do this calculation in two ways. One way is that I know that the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3 over 2. That's what we just wrote over here. And 2/3 to the first power is just 2/3. Well, we've already done this problem. 2/3 times 3 over 2, well, we just got an answer of 1. But there's a second way I can do this problem. And the second way that I can do this problem is to use my rules of exponents. So if I add these two guys together, since 2/3 and 2/3 are like bases, if I add my exponents together, 1 and negative 1 give me an answer of 0. So what I end up with is 2/3 to the 0 power. Well, what's that equal to? We've never encountered, at least to this point, something to the 0 power. Well, now I actually know what it's equal to. Because I was able to compute the answer on the left-hand side, and I know that these two sides are equal to one another, what I know is that 2/3 to the 0 power equals 1. So we've just stumbled across a really important principle. Now, we've only done it with 2/3, but it would work the same way no matter what I put in. Whenever I multiply a number and its reciprocal, I'm always going to get 1 for an answer. And whenever I multiply a number and its reciprocal, I'm always going to get that number to the 0 power. So what that tells me is if I have anything to the 0 power, any number, except for 0 to the 0 power, it's kind of an oddball, but if I have any other number to the 0 power, I'm going to get an answer of 1. Okay, so let's see if we can put that to good use. So for number 5, well, what I see here is I've got negative 5/3 to the 0 power. I already know what that answer is. That's 1. So all I'm left with is 3 times 1, which is 3. Okay, letter B is a little bit tricky, and it's tricky because there's a number missing. So notice how we just have a minus sign here and then there's no number in front? Well, there really is a number, it's just not written there. That number is a 1. Actually, to be more accurate, it's really a negative 1. So I've got 2/3 to the 0 power. Well, I know what that's equal to. That's 0. So I'm left with, 2/3 to the 0 power is 1. So I'm left with negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1. Alright, I want you to try number 6. Pause the video and then restart it after you've given it a try. Okay, so for number 6, again, let's slip in that missing negative 1. And so 4 to the 0 power is 1, so we should have negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1. And then part B, we've got 1/3 to the 0 power. Well, that's just 1.